Day 3 is today. We're so excited to have you guys back again for another day of VBS. And I just want to tell you, we're really thrilled to see all the stuff that you guys are finding throughout Scripture and throughout the Bible about God and just discovering more about His character. That is what this week is all about. So we are like super pumped that you guys have been doing that and have been participating along with us. I love seeing all of your crafts. We're really excited about those too. You guys did a great job. So keep tuning in. We have a couple more days yet and a couple more lessons to do together. So we're just excited to have you guys here. Okay guys, so the attribute that we're going to be studying today for day 3 is that God is omnipotent. Now that might be a word that some of you know and some of you might not know. So let's break it down a little bit and explain what it means. So the word omnipotent, if you break it in half, omni, that beginning part means all. And potent, that second part of the word, means powerful. So when you put it all together, the word omnipotent means all powerful or unlimited power. And God for sure is the only one who has unlimited power. He is the creator of everything and He has unlimited power to do anything at all. And it's so great that we can trust that He's a good God with all of that power. So let's dig in today, guys, and see what we can find in the Bible that shows us that God is all powerful, that He is omnipotent. So before we get started with some fun things I have for our lesson, I want to give you guys some background information before we get started so you know where the story is coming from in the Bible. So a lot of you have heard of the name Elijah in the Bible, and when we first hear about him in the Bible, we're actually in 1 Kings, and he's actually going to a king named Ahab, and he's telling him that there's going to be a drought in the land. God had told him there's going to be a drought and there's going to be no rain for a while, and he was to tell King Ahab that. And so during this time of no rain, Elijah is actually residing in the desert, and God actually sends ravens to bring him food to provide for him. And then he travels over, and God sends him to a house of a widow who has a son, and he says, go ask her to provide food for you. And while Elijah is there, he says, God told me to come here and ask you to make me some bread. And the widow says, oh, I'm so sorry. We only have a little bit of olive oil left and just this little bit of flour left. And really, this is our last meal. After this is all our food. We don't have anything left, and after this, we'll die. And Elijah said, trust the Lord. Please prepare me some bread, and you'll have enough for me and for you and your son. And if you do this, God will provide for you until the end of this time where there's no rain. And so the widow does what Elijah says, and she prepares this food for him, and miraculously God provides enough for her and her son, and then sustains them throughout the time of this drought. And then after that, Elijah has gone away, and now we hear that the widow's son has passed away. He died. He had a sickness. And so Elijah comes back, and the widow's kind of blaming Elijah for this. And Elijah says, let me have your son. I'm going to take him up to this upper room. And he prays over him. He actually stretches his body out over the son 3 times and asks God to restore his life. And God miraculously brings this son back to life. And the widow is praising the Lord for this. So guys, all this to say, I just wanted to give you a background of where we're coming from so you know that Elijah was coming from this time of drought. And at our story's start, this drought is still continuing. And Elijah actually confronts King Ahab and says, hey, God has sent this drought because you guys are not following Him. You guys are worshiping these other gods who are not the true God. And then Elijah actually kind of challenges King Ahab to like the battle of all battles, a challenge of all challenges to prove whose God is the true God. Okay guys, so Elijah, he challenges King Ahab and says, hey, send 450 of your prophets of Baal and bring them up to Mount Carmel. Tell all the sons of Israel to come because we're going to see whose God is the true God at the end of this. So Elijah poses this challenge to the prophets of Baal. He says, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to build 2 altars. We're going to take one, we're going to have stones underneath with wood on top, but no fire underneath. Then we're going to have 2 oxen. You guys choose one, I have one. And we're going to cut up and prepare the meat and put it on these altars. And then whoever's God answers by fire will prove that they are the true God. And so all the people thought that this was a really good idea, so they agreed to do it. Okay, so the prophets of Baal are getting their altar ready. They put the stones down, they have the wood on top, and then they prepare the oxen meat and they put that on top. And don't worry, it's just raisins. And so the prophets of Baal, they start calling out to him and they say, oh, Baal, answer us. And it says in the Bible that they called from morning until noon. And they were calling out to him saying, answer us, light this on fire, show that you're the true God. And nothing happens. And so Elijah kind of mocks them and says, oh, guys, hey, you know what? Maybe he's sleeping. Maybe Baal went on a journey. Maybe he just can't hear you. You should probably call to him louder or do something to get his attention. And so the prophets of Baal say, yeah, let's do that. So they start calling out even louder. They're saying, answer us. They start cutting themselves, doing all these things to try to get Baal's attention. But we know that nothing was going to work because Baal is not the true God. And so they called out until evening and nothing happened. And so now it's Elijah's turn to show that his God is the true God. So Elijah calls all the people to come near to him, and he actually starts rebuilding an altar to God that had been torn down. So he starts placing the stones. He actually places 12 stones for the 12 tribes of Israel. So he places the 12 stones there, and then he's going to put the wood on top of the altar and get the prepared oxen meat. So all the people are watching him doing this. So Elijah has the stones put in, he has the wood, he has the oxen meat, and he actually has a trench dug all the way around the altar as well. And what he tells them to do next is quite amazing. So they have a trench dug all the way around, they have the stones in front, they have the wood, and then the prepared oxen meat on top. And now what Elijah says to do is he said, go get 4 basins of water and pour it all over the altar and the wood. So they take these basins and they pour it all over the altar. And they do it a second time. And the third time. And they drench this altar until the whole trench around is filled. Everything is soaked, and there is not a chance that any sparks can light here. So I'm just going to add some here. There's all water in the trenches. The entire altar is just soaking wet. And if you guys have ever been camping and tried to light a fire with wet wood, it is like really difficult, if not impossible. So as you can see, these people watching are probably like, this is not going to happen. How is this going to work? It's completely soaked. There's no chance it's going to start on fire. But let's watch and see what God does. Okay guys, so now it's evening, about time of the evening sacrifice, and Elijah has the altar all drenched. It's completely full with water in the trenches around here. The altar is all wet, and the sacrifice is all wet, the wood is all wet, everything is soaked. And now Elijah prays, and this is what he says. O Lord, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, today let it be known that you are God in Israel, and that I am your servant, and I have done these things according to your word. Answer me, Lord, answer me, that these people will know that you, O Lord, are God, and that you are turning their hearts back again. And guys, what happens next in the story is like totally insane. It's my favorite story in the Bible for this very reason, because it shows God's omnipotence. His all-powerful nature is like so on stage in this story. So wait and see what happens. So God sends fire from heaven, and it consumes everything. It consumes the meat on the altar. It consumes the wood. It consumes the stones. It consumes all the water, all the dust. Everything is gone because God is that powerful. And all the prophets of Baal are freaking out because they have been calling to Baal all day and had no answer. And Elijah prays once, and God answers with this incredible fire that destroys everything and consumes everything they can see. So when the people saw this, they just fell on their faces and were like, whoa, this is the true God. He is omnipotent. He is all-powerful. He is the one true God. The prophets of Baal had been praying to Baal all day long, and nothing happened because we know he's not a real God. He's not the true God. But when Elijah prayed one time, God answered with a fury of fire down, consuming everything they could see, and they were then able to see how powerful God is. And I just love this story because I know there's a lot of places in the Bible that displays God's power and his omnipotence, but this one is just so clear. There's no one that compares to him. Baal doesn't compare, nothing. There has never been and there never will be anyone that compares with our God. He is so great. He is omnipotent. I'm just so thankful that we serve an all-powerful God. Now, if you guys keep reading in this story, you'll see later how God does then send rain to end the drought. So he's also gracious. In all his power and all his might, he's also so gracious with us. And I don't know about you, but that brings me great comfort knowing that we serve an all-powerful, omnipotent God who at the same time graciously loves us. So guys, I can't wait to see what you guys find today. I'm so excited to hear all the things that you're going to be discovering about God and his omnipotence. So share those again with us on Realm or through email, and we can't wait to see what you guys find. Okay guys, so before we go, I want to give you another different kind of challenge today. Yesterday we gave you the challenge to find something in the Bible, but today we're going to give you a challenge. Instead of a craft video, we're going to give you a little example of what our challenge is going to be like. So we want you guys to be searching for evidence in the Bible that shows God's omnipotence, and then we want to have you take those stories and turn them into something really cool. So tune in for the video that's up next to see what our challenge is for the day. Alright, see you soon guys.